Hello, class. My name is Gracie, and I am part of Group C. And for our project, we are talking about the electric vehicle market in the USA and its general analysis. So, on the agenda, we have several parts. We are going to discuss the market structure. We're going to talk about the industry and the competitors in it. And then we'll go over the supply and demand, as well as the key factors driving those things. We will compare firms that are fully EV versus traditional cars. And then we will talk about policies and laws affecting the EV market. And then lastly, we will show our conclusion and references. Now, about the market structure. Firstly, because of the nature of the EV market, it is changing. I would say that it is an oligopoly, slowly becoming monopolistic competition as we talk about lowering costs and the models that are coming in. Tesla entered the market as a industry pioneer, and for a minute it was a monopoly, gaining a huge share and building their brand reputation as a leader in battery electric vehicles. But as policies are encouraging the electric vehicle market and costs are going down, more and more firms are entering the EV market with more models. In our case, we looked at four, a mixture of fully electric vehicle lineups and traditional ones. That includes gasoline powered, hybrid, and electric. So we have Tesla, Rivian, Toyota, and Ford. Now, about the EV industry, because of the new competition entering the market, Tesla's share has fallen to 50%. It is down significantly. Quarter one was 60%, and then in 2020 it was 79%. So as competitors are entering, Tesla is certainly seeing the losses there, especially as people know their models, but they are not in the trucks. For example, Ford is, you can see here in our graphic, Ford is quickly rising. If we talk about Q3 2023, it sold nearly 21,000 electric vehicles, including the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is one of the fastest selling models right now, if we consider the US market, because trucks. If we look at the models that are being sold in the US today, you can see here, these are the current fastest selling models in the US. Of the 6 models, 4 of them are SUVs. So bearing in mind this industry in the US, Americans are looking at things that are not passenger cars. They're looking at bigger vehicles like the SUV, the truck, vans. And just to note, Tesla has had an SUV on the market since 2013, so it is 10 years old. But because of the cost, it deterred mass purchasing. So unless it enters and innovates that decision, the firm will likely lose the leg up that it has had for a while to firms like Ford or Hyundai, anyone making SUVs or trucks. Now, to continue with the EV industry, let's talk about that market share and the trends here. So SUVs have the biggest market share in the USA. Quoting a study here from 2023, if we look at light-duty vehicles and the interest here, passenger cars are only 30%, while SUVs and vans make up 53%. But when we talk about the EV industry, there are still barriers of entry. So there's a lot of consumer skepticism towards the technology. It is politicized, so we are looking at the policies and the laws that are coming in that will affect the EV market as we look at the next 5-10 years. And so firms are going to have to consider all of the outside environment factors to figure out the models and the trends of future car buyers. Globally, the rate of adoption for light duty EV has increased dramatically in the last decade, as I said, and what my teammates will point out later on in this presentation. Battery improvements have lowered costs, but then again, also supportive policies and new regulations. For example, California is slated to have some policies to support non-emissions and also not battery operated vehicles. Also, firms like Ford, they have promised to improve their lineup, increase their lineup of hybrid and electric vehicles by 2030, 2035. So when we talk about the projections here, those big rates of adoption aren't for the next 5 or 10 years. So it's still out there. And then the other thing to consider when we talk about competition is that it is still extremely concentrated. So it's not homogenous in the US. In fact, most of the sales are coming from California, and even then, that's also hyper concentrated within 9 counties. If we talk about the national level, it is less than 3%. And then in terms of popularity, right now, battery EV sales are exceeding plug-in hybrid EVs in all the regions. So firms, when they talk about making their next decision on which models to release, thinking about price sensitivity of the American market, and then also the decisions of other competition, because a lot of these models are similar, like the SUV. That is going to affect the competition greatly in the EV industry in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm going to give it to my teammate Megan, who is going
We
to
will take a closer and comprehensive look at the supply and demand dynamics shaping the electric vehicle or EV market here in the United States. Understanding how these forces interact would be essential for projecting the speed at which EVs can transition from small markets to mainstream adoption on American roads over the next decade. First, let's focus our attention on some of the components impacting EV manufacturing capability and availability from the supply perspective. As you are likely aware, enhancing battery cost efficiency and energy density are important factors that would facilitate automakers being able to produce EVs at higher values and lower prices to meet growing consumer demand. By producing more batteries at a cheaper price and investing in research, costs have already dropped nearly 90% over the past 10 years. Further incremental tech improvement paired with economies of scale promise to lower prices even more in the years ahead. Additionally, established automakers like GM, Tesla, and Ford are investing upwards of $50 billion combined just over the next 3 to 5 years towards redesigning existing factories and building integrated EV manufacturing plants from scratch. This capital investment towards equipment and workers is essential to unlock the production capacities required to meet the demand. Combining these manufacturing efforts is necessary to maintain reliable access to the stocks of raw mineral inputs like lithium, cobalt, and nickel that serve as the ingredients for the battery production hubs and gigafactories. Because without access to these materials, final assembly would be disrupted. This shows why it's so important to lock down a worldwide supply chain that can make enough EV batteries to meet the growing demand. Now, shifting gears, let's explore the key trends influencing EV purchasing decisions among US car buying consumers. While EVs are generally more expensive than comparable gas powered models, government incentives like the $7,500 federal tax credit with additional state level subsidies are helping electric cars become more affordable, especially for younger Americans. However, most industry experts anticipate these supporting financial incentives will phase down later this decade as battery costs fall closer to internal combustion engines. Furthermore, initiatives by both the public and private sector focus on exponentially expanding charging station availability and shortened charging times is relieving so-called range anxiety worries, helping assure drivers of readily abundant charging stations. So I actually have an example of this. Recently, I sent my car to do the maintenance. They actually gave me the loaner car, which is which was the electric cars. Um, so I have the I actually have the anxiety of the range since only have around 200 miles. So I constantly needed to worry to find a charging station. When paired with the considerable saving on maintenance, designers hope to convince consumers to spend a little more in the beginning, but saving more over the lifetime. A good comparison are energy efficient light bulbs, which cost more at the start but will consume much less energy over its lifetime and last far longer. Ultimately, aligning production with growing demand promises to speed up the adoption for electric vehicles from their current position of around 5% US market share towards projections some analysts have modeled exceeding 50% by the next decade. As supply chains reshape themselves around new energy sources, there will definitely be some bumps along the way. Public policy support and capital investment from manufacturers must continue flowing to maintain the transition towards a sustainable future.
This is Xi and I'm trying to introduce that the electric vehicle company with comparison with the traditional vehicle companies. And for the revenue source, like the electric company, like we are research about Tesla and the Rivian, the revenue is entirely depends on the electric vehicles, and this single focus on the allow them to put all the resource and innovation into electric vehicle technologies, battery development, and the related ecosystems such as the charger network. And for the traditional vehicle companies, that their revenue is diversified and to include the natural gas and the hybrid car and the electric vehicles. And this diversification provide a buffer against fluctuations in the electric vehicles and allows the cross subsidizing the electric vehicle development from profits from the traditional car sales. And for their position of the brand, the electric vehicle company, their market position is usually like the high-end brands, and with like the Tesla is leading in the performance and technologies, and the Rivian is more about the adventures, and so they're over to lead to the higher price, and it's makes their have more income because the higher price. And for the traditional car company, they're involved leveraging their brand reputation and existing customer base to gradually transition to electric vehicles, and the over range of electric vehicles to appeal to the different market position. Like they have the economy cars, the price, and for the luxury cars. And about their development, electric car usually to link to the electric vehicles market, and they are investing heavily or totally in research and the development of the battery technologies and the autonomous driving and other electric vehicle function or their innovations. And their challenge is to scale up the production to meet demand while the maintaining quality and the advanced technologies. And for the traditional cars, there are companies that their benefits is from the natural supply chain and the manufacturing capabilities and the dealer networks. And for the traditional car company, the challenge is to how to apply those technology to electric vehicle productions and compete with the pure electric vehicle company like Tesla and Rivian, and in terms of the technology and the innovations. And for the risk part, like the electric vehicle, the total rely on the electric vehicle market. those companies are exposed to high market volatility and the regulatory change affecting the electric vehicles and the technological disruption of battery and the charger technologies. And for the traditional car, since they have the diversity and the risk being overtaken in the electric vehicle space if the transition is too slow and the balancing investment in electric vehicle with the traditional car like gas is the key strategy challenge. And and the last one is the pricing strategy, and this part is will be separate from the from electric vehicle and the traditional vehicle companies. And we focus on the pricing strategy in the next 5 years. And for the electric vehicles, first of all, we want to reduce the battery cost, and a large part of the cost of EV is the battery, and the battery price has been steadily declined over the past decade and are expected to continue to fall. And we could see some data that researched from the website and the articles. And for the economic of the scale, as the electric vehicle production scale up, the companies can be achieve economies of scale and further reduce costs. That would allow electric cars companies to lower price or the boost profits. And for the regulatory incentives, that many of the government incentives that for electric vehicle purchase and the continuation or the strengthening of those policy could allow the electric vehicle companies to strategically price their vehicles to maximize sale while the benefiting from the government's support. And for their market positions, and for now, many EV companies are positioned at the high-end products. Over the next 5 years, and the electric vehicle technology become more mainstream, and for the predictive the strategy forecast, and the EV company are likely to adopt competitive pricing strategies and greatly lower the price cost efficiencies achieve the end targeting a broader customer base. And for the there's the data. I use the data from here and to make an analysis. And for the traditional vehicle companies, they have the hybrid models. They still need to have the like the gas vehicles, the hybrid vehicles, and the electric vehicles to diversification their strategy to develop more and more opportunity from they have a lot of different type of the car. And for the investment recovery, like they need to recover their investments and in the new technologies and include the hybrid and pure electric vehicles may result in the higher initial pricing for those models. And for the market segment, the traditional automakers like to continue to offer the vehicles at all the price points. Like I said previously, they could have the economic car, and they could have the luxury cars to match more customers needed. And about the impact from the regulations, like the regulations in many regions that could increase in the cost of the manufacturing internal combustion engine vehicles that could be labeled a higher price if you continue to project the gas car or the hybrid car. And for the pricing strategy forecast, the traditional car compares like the maintaining higher pricing strategy like include the cheap internal combustion engine vehicles and the mid-price hybrid and higher price electric vehicles. And the price like a car has an engine may rise slightly due to the regulatory pressure, and while the hybrid and electric vehicle may become more affordable as the technology advanced and the scales.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the policies and laws. Okay, so first policy is the growing awareness of the climate change. Likely more Americans are becoming aware of the urgency of addressing a climate change. This is a driving demand for cleaner transportation options such as EVs. The public awareness campaigns. Government agencies and environmental groups are running public awareness campaigns to educate the public about the benefits of EVs. These campaigns are helping to dispel myths and misconceptions about the EVs and increase consumer interest. So the next is ZEV mandates. Several states have implemented zero emission vehicles, which is ZEV, which require automakers to sell a certain percentage of EVs in their fleets. These mandates are accelerating to the transmission of the EVs. So next is the state incentives. Many states offer additional incentives for buying EVs, such as rebates, tax breaks, and reducing registration fees. These incentives further incentivize EV adoption. So the next one is the energy security. The USA heavily relies on imported oil, which makes the country vulnerable to price fluctuation and supply disruptions. EVs reduce dependence on the foreign oil and contribute to energy independence. And the next is the economic benefit. The EV industry is rapidly growing, creating new jobs and boosting the economy. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the number of jobs in electric vehicle charging infrastructure industry is projected to grow by 22% from 2021 to 2031, significantly faster than the average from the campaigns. So, likely, I'd like to add one more point, that is public health. So, and the air pollution from gasoline and diesel vehicles is a major health concern leading to respiratory illness, heart disease, and the other health problems. EVs do not produce tailpipe emission, improving air quality and the public health. So, can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so lastly, we come to the conclusion of our presentation, that is, the automobile industry faces a unique challenge, balancing the rising popularity of electric vehicles, that is EVs, with the ongoing dominance of SUV. This creates a complex landscape with the diverse regional and global dynamics. While SUVs are favored in the US and EU, they offer considerable potential for the electric SUV market. This untapped potential, coupled with anticipated advancement in technology and supportive policies, suggest a significant increase in global EV adoption by 2030. However, the current adoption rate varies greatly across regions. These necessities focus intervention tailored to specific needs and challenges. To successfully navigate the transformation, time stakeholders must develop and support electric SUVs, capitalizing on the existing demand for SUVs while promoting sustainable solutions, address regional disparities, tailoring strategies and policies to specific needs and challenges across different regions. So, yeah, that's the conclusion of our presentation, and I'll hand it
And
over to Gracie.
yeah, here are our references that we had for our presentation. So thank you very much and have a good evening.